I'll let my team get set up here just for a second. So to the board, as we discussed prior to the school year, we produced an annual agenda. And one of the items on that was our strategic plan. So our strategic plan was crafted in 2023. It runs through 2028. I know we've discussed enlisting TSBA, and I also think this is a good time in January, mid-year, new year mark, to discuss our current strategic plan. So I've got my wonderful team. We're going to run through what we currently have. This is a highlight, an overview of what the work that goes into this strategic plan. It's going to go through each goal, and then we'll individually dig into more depth. Go ahead and give you a preview. The last goal that is not on this would be the shared goal. We've talked about communication. I included in your packet our communications plan, and we'll get to that in a second. But as soon as Ms. Sampson gets ready, we'll start with our first goal and hit the high points. And please jump in if you have questions. As soon as technology.
Sorry, it's not on there at the coming opening screen, because I had to pull it off, but I'll have it right back. We thought they were using a computer, so we had to look in. All right, as we kind of go through this. As we go through the strategic plan for today, the very first part that we want to share with you is on cultivating student achievement and growth. So we'll take you through a little bit of the things that are important and the spotlights that we have for our district in our plan. Our first part is to empower students by embracing high standards. To do that, we have high quality materials. We are very fortunate in Lebanon Special to have our board approve buying and purchasing the high quality ELA materials. We were one of the only districts in the state. There weren't a lot that adopted that very first year, but we were able to do that. And then last year adopting our curriculum for math, and this year we're looking into the science. So our curriculum is all aligned with state standards, and we have a list that is approved from the State Board of Education so that we can pick the curriculum and have our teachers come in and our committees and stakeholders to approve the curriculums that we have. Teachers every year get together to create pacing for the year, and this is a representative from every grade level, every content area. We will meet May 2nd and come together and create the pacing for the next year. So as we've gone through this year, used our curriculum, we may tweak it, we may look to see which standards need to be taught at which time. We have computer classes that are offered in all elementary and middle schools, with the middle school having a required law for computer science and endorsement this year. We have one-to-one technology, pre-K through 8, and the technology device is based on what is needed for the student and to run the programs that we need them to use in their classes and have that. We also partner with Wilson County to give a career assessment and readiness assessment with our middle school students. It is called Major Clarity. It's a career readiness program, and all of our 6th through 8th grade students take that assessment and then work on looking into careers that they may want to do as they go into high school and plan their schedules in 8th grade especially. I wanted to share a little bit about the accountability system and how we empower our students. There are different accountability releases that we have. The first is the state level achievement determination. And I have a little key on there that you can see the metrics for the determinations that districts are given are on achievement, and that would be the percentage of correct answers on the TCAP test, and that would be for grades 3, 5, and 6A. Also, chronic absenteeism, looking at students that have missed 10 or more, or however the number averages up to get there. And then ELPA growth standards. And this would be students that are ESL students and receive EL services. That percentage is averaged in. We were very excited this year to be determined as an exemplary district. That was the highest level that you could receive, so we were excited about that because we were 3.1 in the 3.14. Another accountability measure that we received from the State Department is called TBOS growth. When we look at our TBOS growth, I just wanted to kind of give you a slide to see what is the growth score. What does that mean? And when we're looking at that, that would show that if a student scores at a level 1, they scored significantly less than they were expected to score in that grade level. And then as you move up the levels, you can see at level 3, they're at expectation. That's what we would expect the students to do for 1 year's gain and be right where they need to be. If we go to a level 4, they're making more progress than expected. And then a level 5 would be the highest possible score, making significantly more progress than was expected. So when you look at our scores that we received in LSSD, we have our composite was a level 5 for growth, and this is all district-wide composite scores. For literacy, we were a 5. For numeracy, a level 3. For science, we were level 4, and social studies, we only have scores for 6, 8, and that was a level 5. To provide personalized educational experience, we also have district assessments that we track and analyze to make sure our students are learning the standards. So I wanted to have a few of those on there. You can see the different things that we use. We have data trackers in all the schools. Anita Gray and Joshua Brown have helped to help schools kind of organize that. We meet with learning leaders and assistant principals to kind of train them and show them how to use those data trackers, but it would have all this information on it. We have benchmarks that are taken 3 times a year, universal screeners, and then we progress monitoring in our intervention groups. Last month, we went through Data Studio just to give you a little taste of what is included in that. This is one snapshot from that presentation that we had last month, but just showing you we've added benchmark number 2, and as we go through benchmark number 2, we can see the growth of our students. So in this Data Studio piece, our schools sat down and they go through this on stockpile day. They sat down, they went through all the data to look to see, did we grow from benchmark 1 to benchmark 2? They are different standards, but are we scoring where we should be? Are we hitting those expected achievement levels? And so they go into every subject, they analyze this data and kind of go through that so that the schools can make decisions for instruction. To promote a community of culture, or a culture and community of excellent diversity, we offer lots of different programs for our students. We have different things that they can take part in and be a part of. One, on the top, Extend, it's exciting times and exploring new directions. With this, we do an LSAT assessment at the end of 2nd grade, and students are assessed, and then we look to see, do they qualify for needing more? Do we need to provide a little more than what they're getting in the regular classroom? We have after and before school programs. Some of this is tutoring, and some of it's enrichment. We have lots of multicultural celebrations. I'm not sure if you've seen those, but a lot of schools have literacy nights, family engagement nights. We've had things such as an ESL night. We've had pre-K night. Title I had a special night where parents were coming in. So we've had lots of different events to help promote the community involvement.
A lot of what we do as a district is take care of students. They say that they don't care how much you know, they know how much care. And so that's what we have to do and provide support so that the students can learn in the classroom. So one of the things we do is we implement programs for student mental and emotional health, and that's becoming more and more of an issue in our schools and with our students. Our goal is to provide a minimum of 2 counselors for each school. Currently, our middle schools and one of our elementary have 2 counselors. The other ones have a counselor and a half. But our goal would be to have at least 2 counselors at each school. That allows for small groups. We have crisis situations. That way, a counselor's not pulled from a class where they're doing instruction. We have a lot of students that have anxiety, have to be helped into the school every day. So there's a lot going on, and the need for counselors is just really growing. We have services with Centerstone. They meet in our schools, and students that are referred for counseling, a lot of times go to Centerstone. We also have STARS. Right now, STARS is provided with a grant, but we will be looking for funding in the future for that as that grant expires. And the people at STARS are trying to help us with that as well. We collaborate with a lot of community agencies to help provide resources as well as training. We've got places like Tennessee Voices, we have Vanderbilt, we've got some resources here like Drug Free Wilco in the community. We grow relationships with our state personnel. We're very fortunate this year. Jamie Grammer, who is now over all of the counselors in the state, she's actually come and worked with our counselors, met with them. First time we've had somebody in that office that we can just call on the phone and they just show up. So, and then we seek grant opportunities for additional services, things like our sensory rooms, things like that. Sometimes we need grant money to take care of that. We also are effectively implementing, hope to grow our programs for student behavioral health. We started just maybe 4 years ago. We had half a person working a 120-day contract. And that has grown now into 2.5 people. We have 2 BCBAs. Currently, they have to split 7 schools. So we will need to grow that program as we go along. But all of our schools share their expectations with students and with families through their positive behavior support programs. And that's a part of what our BCBAs help them with. And then our classrooms, there are expectations in the classroom. That's our Tier 1 services. And so we have to ensure that that's being carried out in every classroom. We want to increase opportunities and training for new and struggling teachers. A lot of times these are for effective strategies for those students you would consider Tier 2 and Tier 3. That's your 10% and then your 5% who need more help as far as the student behavioral health is concerned. We want to implement strategies to reduce time out of class for students. So we just don't want to use OSS and ISS on a regular basis if there are other interventions through the behavior support that we can put in place to support both teachers and students. And we are going to continue our relationship with Vanderbilt and other community resources. We work with Vanderbilt on a regular basis. They are a part of what we do with our RTIB, which is behavior. This is just a chart that shows you we are combining our RTIA programs, that's your academic, and your RTIB, which is your behavior. And so as we started doing this, you'll see back in 2022, there were 5 areas that we were scored. Our goal was 80%. And you can look over the last 3 years, all of our schools have now reached that in all of those categories. So we were really proud of that. We also want to foster a safe physical and online learning environment, and that online learning environment is becoming more and more challenging these days. One of the ways we can start with that is adhering to the phone and device policy that we have in the district with Fidelity. Doing that keeps us from having students that are doing things during school and a lot of times even out of schools that roll into school to cause issues. We want to educate students and families on digital citizenship, cybersecurity, and social media responsibility and safety. Homeland Security has helped us with that. We had Enough is Enough. Screenagers is coming up soon, which will deal with alcohol and drugs as well as addictions to online media. We provide a safe and filtered internet environment for learning and respond appropriately to issues as they arise. We plan and advance student safety through partnerships with outside agencies. We are very, very fortunate in our area. We have law enforcement, mental health resources, medical services. We will continue our school resource officer and our DARE program, as well as a multi-year agreement with Wilson County Sheriff's Office for Blaze and Dusty for our K-9 services. We want to maintain a high visibility in our schools and in the community, and continue to monitor and increase those safety measures at each school location. And new to us this year are some requirements by the state for our threat assessment plan. We want to be sure that we are working with that with Fidelity, and we have a couple of our school counselors that are helping leading that up in the middle school and in elementary school. For communication, we're continuing to grow our systems to contact parents directly. For example, with the snow the other day, we had email, we had text, we had the app, it's on all of the websites, but continue to grow. You'll hear more about that. Maintain and seek additional opportunities for visibility and partnerships with community groups and businesses. We try to really work and bring our community and our school district together. Lots of ways that we do that and things that all of us partner with there. And maintain relationships with our long-standing families of the community. Those are the people who know us, they love us, they trust us, and they work with us. But then we've got so many new families moving in, so it's important for us to build relationships with them so they understand what LSSD is about, and so they trust us with their children as well.
As we move into the next area to grow, meaning to recruit, retain, and cultivate high-quality employees. As we think about building those relationships, that's something that's very important in our district. We like to communicate the family feeling, the family atmosphere that we have in our district for our workers, and we strive to all help one another. And to do that, each school will have times where they're doing professional developments for culture and for also instruction in the building. So that's something big that we try to do on the different days that we have. In our schools, we have supports for our teachers. We have learning leaders, which are like instructional coaches in every school. We have reading specialists in every school, and last year they had to start taking over a lot with the new dyslexia law that we had and taking over individual learning plans for our students with dyslexia. It's called an IOPD. So we have a lot of requirements with the State Department, and our reading specialists really take charge of that in the school and do that with the parents and with teachers and students. Professional development is provided by the instructional team. Most every day you're going to see a member of the team out leading. It might be during the common planning they have in their schools, maybe before school, and we've even offered professional developments after school for an hour. They can stay and learn about the programs that we have, or just help them dig into what they're doing every day. So we do offer a lot of professional development. We've received several grants from the Department of Education over the past 4 or 5 years since COVID. One working with ELA, it was a high quality implementation grant, and we've been a part of a network, this is year 4, that we've worked with about 5 other districts and Tennessee, the Department of Education, working with our teachers, using our materials, and learning how, and training our administrators how to do a walkthrough in the room and what to look for in an English classroom. What should I see? What would high quality look like? What would it look like for them to be performing at the level they should be at that grade level? So we've had 4 years of that training. It's been very good. This year we're focusing on student work analysis and really digging into the products students are providing. Also, we've had a math grant where we've been involved with the department implementing our new math curriculum. And then we've had training for our math teachers using the focus documents the state put out and different information that we have for them. We also had the Department of Education come in and help us with the science adoption. We had a whole day. We pulled the elementary teachers that do science that are on the committee and just teaching them what to look for in the new curriculum. What are we looking for now? What are the standards requiring with the new standards we have coming in? And then we spent a day with the middle school. Anita and I also attended the department's training they had, and we brought them here to train our committee members. The school data trackers that I mentioned a little bit before help us, and then in the summer we try to provide a lot of professional development. A lot of that is school-based that we have because teachers aren't taking part in a lot of those that we offer, but we had over 50 different opportunities last year in the summer that teachers could participate in, and then schools also offer different things for them to have throughout the year. Weekly collaborative meetings. This is something that they have, we call them PLCs, if you hear that word. They're going to be meeting once a week as a grade level team, and typically the learning leader or the assistant principal or principal will join in, and this is where they really look at data, if they have data. If not, they're looking at lesson plans, they're looking at student work, and they're really digging into how can we help our students. We have monthly academic data team meetings to analyze data with principals. This is something new we started this year. where they come in and meet with the instructional team. So tomorrow, we have our next academic data team meeting, and the principals and assistant principals are gonna come. Elementary 9 to 11 and middle school 12 to 2. And we're gonna dig into benchmarks and just look at it. What do we notice? What are we seeing? And then also have them reflect and share from their stockpile day PLC that they had. So we'll do that tomorrow. We have the team teacher evaluation rubric that we use. We're considered a Tiger district, but we use the team rubric for our evaluations. And we also use team, which is the Tennessee rubric that is there. So we have those evaluations. Principals will complete 2 evaluations each year, one in the spring and one in the fall. And then that is submitted at the end of the year in a summative through our Tiger worksheet, and that goes into T and Compass, which gives them their teacher evaluation scores. Principals also have 2 evaluations every year using team. Tenure is something we also offer to teachers if they have been in Lebanon Special School District for at least 5 years. So 5 years is the minimum to look. And then their LOE, which is their level of effectiveness score, is at a 4 or a 5 for the last 2 years. They are eligible to be granted tenure. So that's another way that we celebrate the excellence there. And principals receive stipends for growth scores within their schools if they meet that TBOS level 4 or 5 that I shared with you a little bit earlier.
Okay, to add to what Ms. Sanderson was talking about and supporting and adding value to our employees, I wanted to give a snapshot of what our demographics look like for our staff present day. So as of this month, we have 733 active employees, 600 are full-time, 120 part-time. We are split pretty evenly between our certified and classified. When I started with the district, we had more certified staff members, but that has kind of leveled out over the years because we just have a need for more support in our schools. We have a 91% retention rate in our district. We started tracking about 7 years ago when I came into this role. I wanted to see how we were trending, what that looked like, all that was important for us to see. And I pulled some other numbers, and in 18-19, we had 264 certified staff members. Today, we have 364. So we've grown significantly over the years. A way that we realize that we can't continue to do how we've always done. And when we're staffing, we're also staffing multi-generational now. And what works for me will not work for someone that's out of college, fresh out of college. So we have those conversations a lot in our department and what that looks like and how we can move forward and continue to retain quality employees, but also recruit high quality employees. In doing so, we're still looking at job fairs, which are a lot of fun for our team. Our partnerships with our universities have really grown exponentially with our area universities, and that's been exciting to see that kind of bloom through the years. We had our first job fair last year for the district. I can tell you a lot thanks over that because I had a partner HR director in another district that said that she went home and cried herself to sleep after her job fair. So I was apprehensive, but it was good. We had 66 that signed up, we had 43 that attended, and we hired 12 from that. So we are in the planning process for this year's job fair, which will be in March. Probably John's going to be in, so more to come on that. So, sorry. And looking at how to continue to entice our current teachers and future teachers, we are always looking at our teacher scale. I feel like we end a budget and then I start looking at budget immediately. And so, comparing other districts, what they're paying their teachers, so we can stay ahead of that curve. This year, we did increase our steps on our teacher scale. Some steps saw a $100 increase plus the 3% percentage increase. Some saw $1,300, and that was solely because we knew we needed to make some strides forward in some of those different levels for our teachers. We are ranked second in the state for beginning teacher pay, and that's been consistent for the past 4 years. We're 15th in the state for average teacher pay. This year, we overhauled our EA secretary and bookkeeper, salary schedule. We have been working on our EAs for several years. This year, we took a significant, leap forward with them, and some of them received 20% increases, depending on where they were on their scale. We also, with transportation, we know that's an ongoing need. We know we need drivers. So we continually look at that daily rate to make sure we feel good about that, and we do feel good with that rate, but we also this year implemented a 5% drive bonus. So if they drive 5 days this year, if they drive every day this year, we're gonna get a 5% bonus on their salary. And we also added additional, dollar amount for additional routes. This year, we implemented a $1,000 retention bonus. We have historically done a longevity bonus, and we've done that, I've been here 14 years, it was pre-me, and it was $800. I've been able to increase that amount for several years. We had an opportunity to do it this year, so we increased that to $1,500 for people working 21 years and above for us. And then the $1,000 retention bonus for individuals that are here 11 or more years. We paid out 165 people, and it costed our budget about $200,000, which I think is well worth it. Employee referral program, we've had this in place for a couple of years. I would like to see more traction from that, but I think it's good that we've had 35 people that have been submitted, and we have retained 24 of those. So, and I've always said, our people are our best advertisement. So we continue to improve that referral bonus program. We did increase stipends across the district in our leadership roles within the schools through our differentiated pay plan, and we've also earmarked some money for tuition reimbursement opportunities for staff. We're still tweaking that, so more to come on that as well. And of course, our Care for You health clinic, I don't think you would find an employee anywhere that doesn't love the clinic. It's available to all employees and their families, and when we, when you put pencil to paper, it's costing us about $800 an employee. So very well worth it. One thing, we do all kinds of training for our staff. There's compliance training that's done throughout the year. There's also supervisory training, and that's important because whether you're a principal, whether it's department head, we want our supervisors to be equipped to take care of employee-related issues, and we want that consistency. So it's important that we continually give that information to those supervisors and work with them. And there's different folks at the central office that are readily available to work with those individuals on their employee issues, just to make sure we're being consistent. Something I'm really excited about, we have launched our Grow Your Own initiative for the district. We had a meeting last month, an interest meeting, and 11 people show up. So we're targeting our EAs and our permanent subs. And out of that, we're going to focus on special education as well as middle school, because that is where our vacancies tend to be. And so we are excited about this. We will share more information as we get further into it, but Dr. Armstrong has been instrumental in getting this off the ground. So we appreciate all her efforts on that.
How many did you say were at that?
11. We have new teacher check-ins. I started doing this a couple of years ago, because historically we have not had teachers on permits and waivers. But with the state of things over the past couple of years, we have had more people that we have placed on permits and waivers. And so this was an opportunity for us to start doing check-ins with them, whether it's 90 days, mid-year, and end-of-year interviews, which has been really enlightening because they share good things, they share challenges, they give us a wish list of things that they want, and so we can come back to the table and share that information with each other. And I know Ms. Sampson has taken that, as well as Ms. Kegley, with their teams, and then gone out and implemented some measures that have been brought to us by these new teachers. New teachers assigned coach and mentor, Ms. Sampson mentioned that earlier. Permanent subs. We started this process about a year and a half ago. Currently, we have 11 permanent subs in the district. Every building has at least one, some have 1.5. They would probably want more if we would allow it. But we did this simply because after COVID, our fill rates just weren't what they needed to be. And this was just an added measure to make sure we're staffed accordingly. When it comes to recognition, we've realized the need that we need to celebrate and recognize our staff. Our schools do a great job of that, and they all have their own unique ways of doing it. And we don't wanna take away from that. We want them to do what they have always done. But we are working on some initiatives at the district level to expand on that, because people at Cal Sites, they don't have a ton of hills here, and vice versa. So we wanna be able to take those milestones, those recognitions, those celebrations, and share that.
Ensuring our resource responsibility and looking at forecasting the facility needs over a 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, and 15-year period, to be able to plan accordingly, so all of our facilities are improved and maintained. Some things we can't control, such as a lightning strike, but those things that we can control within our power, we need to look at a maintenance plan for our roofs, our heating and cooling system, and some general projects. Those are all the ones that are more high-dollar projects. And then plan accordingly for the building, our building maintenance, to avoid the expense of unbudgeted projects. Looking forward at the 25-26 school year, and so this whole list came from a meeting with myself, our maintenance supervisor, our technology supervisor, as well as our facilities person, Tim, to come up with an overall list of project needs that we need to look at, some in the near future, some a little further out, but to put us where we need to be in good shape with replacing some roofs, heating and air, and some general projects. We're looking at a $1.9 million capital project plan that would be in the next school year. Looking at 5 years out to replace roofs and heating and air, we're looking at $5.5 million. About a 10-year plan would be an additional $4.8 million, and then really far out there, but will come sooner than we think, the 35-36 year, an $8 million capital project plan. When you look at these numbers, it's like, well, that's a lot of money. We kind of got ourselves in a little bit of position, and Mr. Thacker pointed that out, about why hadn't stepped in and replaced already, right? And this is kind of the plan that we have in place to look to start replacing the things, so we don't come up with a situation where everything has to be done at one time.
Thank you. So questions over those first few sections, because the last part I want to add in there, and you don't have to have questions, we threw a lot of information at you. The last piece, the goal that I would recommend, and this is the in your packet, is the communication side. There are 4 parts to the communications packet: alignment of communication strategy, our strategic goal, our social media strategy, the branding side of that. To sum all that up, you see that we have a lot of great things happening in the district. And as Heather and Joel and Mark all stated, we need to make sure we share those things. We want to make sure that we tout our really impressive things. When we bring chickens into a gymnasium, we want to make sure we show off those pieces. So when we get time, we'll sit down and go through the different components. We're currently in phase 3 of our communications plan. That would be the social media side. Heather and I have talked Facebook, and some love and some don't, and districts use it very, very well, and those are the districts we're counting on. We've contracted with an individual to work with Dr. Armstrong, and this is another project she spearheaded. But as we move forward, you'll hear more on the communication side, but we did want to take this opportunity to review our strategic plan.
So I've made tons of notes and I have tons of questions. Let's figure out the newest one here.
Great.
So I probably will ask you individually, but I have tons of questions, and you probably can spot off answers. So, just know that I may ask you all the questions. So, thank you so much for that. We're still learning everything, so thank you so much. You ready to go on, Frank? All right. I got a list for everybody. The next is B, and review of educational consultant report.
Yes. First, I just want to thank everybody that was involved in having Dr. Davis and Dr. Jones here. I always think that an outside view, especially us that are educators and do this full time, it's always good to have a fresh perspective on someone from the outside. So we thank you for allowing them to come in and making you feel so welcome. Mainly it highlighted the strengths of our school, showed the valuable recommendations for further support of our students that we have, kind of like what we talked about here. Also praised LSD's commitment to academic growth, initiative that we have with data, the dedication of our educators and our staff, and you all proved that tonight, showing that. Their emphasis showed 3 different things on building these strengths, focusing, and I think it kind of goes along with what we're actually looking to do as a board, from expansion to actually looking at communication and what we're looking to grow. The first one was to adopt an equitable growth model. As you can see, our area is changing a lot, so we need to be very advantageous to make sure that the demographics that we're serving are the students that we have. They may not look like me, they may not look like you, so we need to make sure we're ahead of that and proficient in tracking this. So this is one of the things they wanted to target the intervention of English learners and special education and the economically disadvantaged students. Those are areas which we'll probably be seeing a lot more with the way things are. Cost of living and everything that we have exponentially is growing up. I know that even myself in the industry that I'm in with homelessness, it's gone up like 23% nationally, which is very sad. There is some mental health issues with some of this, and there is some things like this that we probably need to look at and address. But I think looking at those areas are very important. This is one area they wanted to emphasize. The other one was emphasis professional development. There's no doubt that we're doing that here. We're doing a good job. We want to make sure that we continue to equip our teachers with the things that they need to allow them to be the best that they can. That is giving them opportunities outside the box. I think it's very important in the age that we live in, especially with the word voucher, or whatever you want to call it, that's about to come up probably the next year. We need to look at the district as something to make us unique, to make us stand out. People want to send their kids here to our system. So I think those are opportunities that we need to look at too, to make sure we develop our teachers and give them the opportunity. The third thing is strength of communication. I know being on this board previously and being here, I love the opportunity to come out to the schools. It's an opportunity for us to tell our story and actually let those parents come out and see the board and who's on the board and communicate and talk with us. I think that is one thing that we need to do a better job in. I think we will, looking at these options, is tell our story. Let the community see what we're doing. Have them buy in. There's no reason to be afraid. Transparency is, of course, my favorite thing to be, because if we have nothing to hide, there's nothing reason to show and invite the community in. And I think we can strengthen that communication outlet. That would be very great. So basically, they visited the reinforcement of LSSD. It's a strong district. They really gave us a lot of kudos, potentially to achieve extraordinary success. There's always room to get a little bit better. You never achieve that, from good to great. You can always continue. By continuing to prioritize equity, growth, and community engagement, we can ensure that every child in our district has the opportunity to thrive. And our kids are the reason that we're here, and that's what I want to do as a board. So I just want to thank you all, Mr. Hutto, for welcoming you in and making me feel welcome.
We appreciated the visit, and we looked through the report, Ms. Sampson and I, the whole team has, specifically on the data side, that growth model, that data tracker, and those, they marry together very well. So we feel good about that. Communications plan, and as we grow that piece, and then we can collaborate with you all. And I will echo having the board meetings at the schools. I'm a big fan. How often do you get to hang out in the elementary school gym with the beautiful wood floors and see chickens? So yeah, it's nice.
I think this is 2 board meetings we've had to do with chickens, by the way. We had our invention.
Oh, that's correct. That's correct. Correct. There's a theme. We had the feed.
That's what I was thinking when I was sitting here. So we've had the chickens.
Full circle.
Yeah. We might need that invention to take that to Mr. Teal so he can feed his chickens.
We might do. And oddly enough, those kids would have fed through here to Winter Ride. So they contribute.
You just never know. Thank you so much, Mr. Thacker, on that report. I've read through it. I think it kind of ties in with our strategic plan, especially as y'all went through it. I think the last and final piece is that shared piece that I think we've talked about and working with I think the quote is to tell our story and tell it well. So Now we're to item C, the revision of the board policies, 4.603, promotion and retention, 5.118, background investigations, 5.302, sick leave, 6.402, physical examination and immunizations. I know those came through TSBA, but I'm gonna turn that over to you.
Correct. These were TSBA recommendations. Most of this is language. I would say it's benign to the concept. Promotion and retention had to do with the notification piece, 30 days out. Background investigations included the RAP-BAC program, that is through the federal database. Sick leave, it included an area for classified that may be used. We're not at that point, but we needed to include that language. And the physical examinations or immunizations, language changed from required to recommended. We can pass those individually, or you can pass them as a whole.
I'm okay with pass them as a whole, if anybody got a problem with that.
I make a motion that we pass all the revisions to the board that are in front of us as a whole.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. And now we're to item D, board expansion details. And I believe the board attorney, Ms. Jordan Eberlin, was gonna come down, or come up and speak to us. And that's where we added, the term limits on there as well.
Hello. Hi. My name is Jordan Niederland. I am a partner at Rainey Kaiser in Nashville, and I'm the new board attorney. It has been my pleasure to work on the issue of board expansion, and the board, so that the board, as the community grows, can reflect the changing community. The board has already voted on the issue of expanding from 3 to 5 board members, and there are just a few other details that I think the board may work out tonight, with a couple additional votes that will provide the information I need to be able to draft the resolution and give that to our legislators so that we can amend the private act and finally push board expansion across the finish line. So with that, if there are the 2 other issues to be voted on, I'll pass that to you guys.
The one thing that I wanted to look at on the expansion was, and I talked to the election commission and I've talked to Brian also, is we want to make sure that these 5 zones are based on equal geographical population. This would allow for the change, because every 10 years there's a census. So 2020 we had a census, and we'll have another census in 2030. With the election commission, if we do that and we base it off that census, that would allow it to go ahead and, as it changes and grows, it would allow for the board to change, and it wouldn't cost us any more per the election commission when we do change that in those years, so every 10 years. That's the one thing that I think that I would like to make sure, because when we do this, we'll also have to make sure that we have the zones. We'd have a 1, 2, and 3, and a 4 and 5 zones, and it'd have to be strategically placed, because as you know, Mark's and my term basically rolls off next year. So you'd have 4 people that actually be running for the board. So strategically, to put that on there, we would have to have 2 board members that would have 2 years for the first term, and then after that, the other 2 would have 4. So we'd have to have that, so sequentially, they would be able to, you'd have 3-2, 3-2. When you would have the elections happen, you would have 4 people running at once, and that would actually help that. The way that I would like to word it is we do the 2 upcoming board members for the 2-year terms, and the other 2, I would like to look at zone 1 and 2, and we would district that out. Zone 1 would probably be in the area that I live. Probably zone 2 would be in the area Mark would live, and then 3 and 4 would be those areas that aren't represented. And so that would be a 4-year term. So ours would be the 2 years, and then theirs would be the 4 years, and then basically the others would roll in with a 4-year term after that.
I know that I've looked at it several different ways, and I've met with the election commission as well, just to see how it would all flow, and, we did it for elementary school. I think the best way to do it is to do it with the census, that way we don't have a cost, with that. So if we move to elementary schools, that might become an issue. So if you do it with the census, it makes sense to me. That was kind of what I was struggling with, was if it changes. So if it changes with the census, that's how city council does theirs, that's how county commission does theirs. So it kind of makes sense to fall in line with them, for sure. I definitely think we need, more voices, on the board. If you look at the growing area, that's what I said when I voted to do that, so, I'm glad that they kind of came up with, kind of explained it a little bit better, so, I talked to several people ad nauseum kind of about it, just to make sure that I was comfortable with it, and I think that's the best way, to grow it, is to grow it with those census lines, because they have to be, geographically equal. And although our schools are kind of geographically equal, maybe they're not because of maybe the school size or something, but this would make it geographically equal, and plus it would take that cost that we wouldn't have to pay. So that's another thing, so, I'm great with that. I mean, if we want to call that dead vote, or, is there anything else we need to add on that? Ms. Nicolay, is there anything else we need to add with that?
I think you would need it, I think I'm sorry, I jumped ahead of you, Jordan, you know way more than I do. And just for the purpose of the minutes, the motion is made that would outline, the type of addition we're gonna do, which is what's been described as zones. And then, of course, the second, the vote, and then I believe there's an additional item that you added that had to do with term limits. Yes.
Some, Joel, if you want to say, since you've got all the term, then you can.
Yeah, I can give you a copy of this, Jordan. It just basically said, we must zone all 5 board zones based on equal geographical population districts. This will allow for us to change the 2-year census based on 2020. And also, the 2 upcoming board members would have 2-year terms, and this would allow, have a 4-year term for first rotation, allowing, zones 1 and 2 would be 2-year terms, come in 2026, and then 3 and 4 would also be 4-year terms, 2026, and then years would roll in there. And then there's also we do the GIS program. Is that right, through the county? Is that who you do?
So, through discussions, the census blocks is what I think the election commission would recommend. Essentially, we would take the census block, we would overlay our district map. That would give us the 5 areas, and then we would be able to count those census blocks to give us that 10% within each block to make it equitable.
Okay, so I'll give you this copy of this then.
Mr. Thacker, I think you need to make a motion on what you currently have.
Okay, I make a motion on the board resolution on the zones and how they can be geographically distributed, and how we'd actually, on the terms, on how they would be split up, so we have a good rotation for the next elections.
Do you have a second? I second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed? All right, so there's the first part of the board expansion details, and that has passed. And then the next part was, we were adding the term limit discussion.
What are you kind of looking for, term limits, what are you thinking?
I mean, I think 2 term limits is kind of makes sense to me. We're a school district that all of them goes to 8th grade as well, so, we're not covering all the way to high school. If you're talking to parents that are involved, usually they're gonna get involved at the next level, so I think term limits are great across the board, they're great for, so I would make a motion that we would say 2 term limits, on the board expansion.
I think in the political environment that we live in, I think term limits for all politicians would be a good idea. I mean, the President of the United States has 2 term limits. I understand why we don't do that with every position that we have. Politics is not a job, it's a public service, and those that aren't willing to do that as public service, I think they see it as a job, and I never saw this as a job. I saw this as an opportunity to change the system and make a difference. And I think that's what we're here to do as board members. And I think that's what all politicians should be doing, to look at opportunities, how we can make our cities, states, or wherever we're in, better places for the citizens that we represent. So I'm 100% behind that. I think term limits would be a great idea. Like I said, I wish other legislatures would see the same thing. This would be my second term, and so if this is something we do, I'm gonna commit to that, and, I would be happy just to make that my final hurrah and say I'd be going along with that, because, I definitely, if I'm gonna believe it, I'm gonna do it, and, that's exactly what I would do. So I agree.
Mr. Tomlinson?
So we have a motion, do we have a second?
I second that.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain. So, all right, so we're through item D, and now we're down to you, Mr. Hutto.
Real quick, on the last, did we have
All three.
altered? Okay, I thought I heard abstain. I just want to make sure the minutes reflect it.
Yep.
Thank you. So director's report, we have covered the majority of this. I do want to give you an update. Current enrollment is 4,644 students at this mid-year mark. I included in your packet some growth calculations and some of the heat maps from all the growth that we've seen. Ms. Sadler-Gallagher and I, we have talked extensively, ad nauseum, I'll use your term, regarding growth and expansions. We have more information to come. We've also met with Jordan, and that is a convoluted process. But we're excited to see what that brings. Want to update you on drivers. We currently have 8. We've got 2 in different phases of the driving process. So Ms. Sadler-Gallagher is crossing her fingers. We're going to cross our fingers, our legs, our toes. We hope to have 5 drivers ready to go soon. I don't want to speak it because I don't want to jinx it, but we're in a good place right now. Our delayed routes or our late routes, they're covering us, but we want to make sure we can fill all those and have them there on time. Last item I included in your packet just our average growth. So from 2020 to current, we have 4.89% average growth. We've gained 768 students since 2021. You noticed on our strategic plan, employees, we've gained 100 since 18-19. That number would reflect the number of students we've grown. So we're not adding positions to add positions. Those are students that are here. We want to make sure we continue to take very good care of them. And those are all the items that I had. Oh, one last item, our online pay, the donation tab. We have the front side of that built out. It'll work through our website. We migrated websites as part of our communications plan to Edleo. It has the ability, and we've done that with 2 school-wide fundraisers. What we want to do is enhance that and add a donations tab. The back side of it is what needs to be finalized, and we worked with Jordan on this as well. We want to make sure that the accounting side has a ledger, that it lives in the right place. We talk about we want to maintain and take care of taxpayer dollars, but we also want to make sure it lands in the right place and do it legally. So it's in the process. We hope to have that resolved soon, and I'll update you as soon as it is finished.
Does a lot here at this school. One of the things that he does is he oversees our chickens that we are very proud of, and he oversees our garden. And so I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Teal and his 3rd grade students at this time.
Hello everybody. So as you can see, we've got 5 hens in here. Our students are going to share some about what they do working with our garden and our chickens here at Myers Deli.
Hi, I'm Ramona. And I'm Lamar. We are all in Mr. Teal's 3rd grade class, and we're going to be sharing with you about some of the things we learned while taking care of our 5 chickens and the garden of our school. Every day, no matter what season it is or what the temperature is like, we have to check on our chickens and make sure they have what they need to be happy and healthy. We might have to wait for the spring to plant again in the garden, but the chickens keep us busy year-round. Hi, my name is Rose. We harvest lots of vegetables in the fall. Some we go to take home and others we share with the chickens. They really love snacking on lettuce, spinach, and other leafy greens that we grew. And the worms we found in the garden too. Chickens eat plants and this means they are omnivores. Hi, I am Floriana. The chickens tell me to be gentle, especially sweet potatoes we harvested in our garden were massive, and after adding a few special ingredients like marshmallows and brown sugar, it made a delicious sweet potato casserole that we shared with our families. We also used herbs we grew like rosemary and thyme to help season some of the dishes. Hi, I'm Cassandra. One of my favorite things about working outside is harvesting vegetables, as long as none of the pollinators sting me like the first day of school. In the fall, we harvest sweet potatoes, bell pepper, jalapeno peppers, tomatoes, or okra, squash, green beans, watermelons, eggplant, peanuts, and flowers. Everyone was so excited to taste the vegetables and share with our families. I am Eulalia, and I love to live at chickens every day. Hi, I'm Olivia. We also have a garden inside our classroom. Our taller garden helps us continue growing plants all year long and lets us see the plant life cycle happening right in front of us. My name is Bailey Grace. Our tower garden is great for growing several varieties of lettuce and kale, cilantro, spinach, arugula, mint, and basil. We get to harvest these greens straight from our classroom and take them home.
Hi, my name is Joel. Keeping the chicken fed is important, and we also have to make sure their coop stay clean, their hay is fresh, and that they are safe from predators. I love to send the chicken back into their coop in the afternoon.
Hi, I'm Gabriel, and Joel's right. Keeping chickens is one of the best parts of our day. We also love when Miss Rhonda and the cafeteria save us bread or produce that they cannot use anymore. We're able to feed it to the chickens, and this helps reduce food waste and keeps the chickens fatted up and large. Hi, I'm Juan, and I love checking the eggs every morning.
All right, round of applause for Rachel. I just want to say thank you to you all. Working in a district where we're able to do really creative things like this makes school so much better. It incentivizes them to come to school every day, and it really makes learning fun. So thank you for letting us have this garden and the chickens, and maybe there'll be more in the future. We'll see.